What's going on, YouTube? So the Audi lineup has been undergoing a lot of changes recently, but this new Audi Q6 really marks the beginning of a new direction for their SUV lineup. And that's especially true when we look at the interior, which brings the latest and greatest tech that you've been waiting for. So, is now the time to trade in your Q5 for this Q6? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's get started here with our spec dump. Now, under the hood, you'll notice there is a void because this is an electric product. It's using a 100 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. When paired with dual motor all-wheel drive, like today's example, we have 456 horsepower. The range on today's example is also 295 miles.
Now, the base price is $63,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we're going to show you that performance. We're also going to talk about things like ride quality and get our sound level reading. After that, we'll discuss resale and reliability as well.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because, like I was saying, this vehicle really marks a new direction for the Audi SUV lineup that we're going to see all throughout the rest of the lineup in the coming future with the outside and the inside. Now, Audi is a brand that typically slowly evolves their overall exterior look. And while this is certainly distinctly an Audi still, it does have a unique look really from the rest of their SUVs in the lineup. And you'll notice that right up here in the front. Now, obviously, we've got a full body color finish on this grille for the Q6 model. That in itself does stand out, and the shape is a little bit different than the typical Audi grille. Down here in your lower fascia, you have some black finish, you got E-Tron branding, and then you got the latest and greatest logo right in the center. But the biggest departure is definitely with our lighting. So this Audi actually has a split headlight arrangement. So that's new to the brand, and as you can see, this section right here is your actual headlights themselves. They're full LED, of course, standard on all models. And then up at the top, this is kind of where the fancy things happen. We have the daytime running light and turn signal indicator. So long as you choose the Premium Plus trim or above, you're going to get the digital daytime running light. So this allows for customizability as well as the dynamic animations. Now, as different as the front of this vehicle is, the back really is kind of classic Audi.
Yeah, it's very traditional looking in its overall appearance. So we have a spoiler up top, we have a window wiper through there, and then we have the newest Audi branding, kind of a flat look for that and the Q6 branding. And Drew went ahead and hopped inside so we can see if all the taillight elements are LED. As expected, every single element is LED in this taillight unit. Audi is known for their lighting. So as you can see, we kind of have the dynamic ability going through here. We also have animation since we have a Premium Plus and above, and then your reverse light is going to be integrated down in the bumper. Now, speaking of this lower fascia, this is all going to be mostly sealed off. And as far as your tow rating, you can tow up to 4,400 pounds.
Now, as far as your wheels are concerned, you've got quite a few selections you can pick from. It begins at 18 inches for the Special Ultra model, which is designed specifically for the high range. This is an available 20-inch alloy on today's Premium Plus. I do like the look of these with the contrast finish. And another thing I really like about this model is the fact they use a lot of body color, including around the wheel arches, giving everything a very premium look. Up top here with our mirrors, we have body color, LED turn signals, of course, and they're fully loaded as standard equipment on all models. So that includes your auto dimming here on the driver's side, blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now let's talk about the side of this model. Its overall vehicle length is about 188 inches, which is a little bit bigger than something like a Q5. Now, as far as design touches, we have blacked out window surrounds, the blacked out roof rails up top, and let's discuss safety systems as well. So, unfortunately, Audi is not giving you all of those as standard equipment. You will get 2 out of 4 of those as standard. Additionally, if you choose the Premium Plus or above, that will give you the lane keep assist as well as adaptive cruise control. But without further ado, we have got to check out the very tech-filled interior. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from sound level readings to cargo measurements, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now to the interior of the vehicle. First though, we'll take a look at the key fob. We do have a standard smart entry system, of course. This is a new key fob for the Audi brand. Pretty similar to the old one, but just a little bit of a different shape overall. You can precondition the cabin from the app as well. And then getting inside the vehicle here, let's check out this brand new interior. So as you can see, this really is the biggest departure, even more than the exterior. Just stands out a lot apart from all the other Audi SUVs in the lineup. And before we get into all the specific details of technology and luxury features, let's first talk about our seats. Now, I'm happy to report that even though this is an electric model, many of this vehicle's rivals have actually deleted leather seats, but leather seats come standard on this model, real leather seats. And as you can see, nice looking seat here. We have good stitching detail, good bolsters throughout. You can get a few different colors as well. And then the seats themselves also have plenty of adjustments, 12 ways of power adjustment with our lumbar support. Memory seats are going to be located over here on this touch-sensitive panel, so it's part of this kind of unit here where you can adjust a lot of the different controls inside of the vehicle. It looked like at first it was up here, but it's actually down here in this touch-sensitive panel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and climb inside. So we'll do things a little out of order there because this vehicle actually does fire up as soon as your butt hits the seat. So that can be, I guess, convenient, or go ahead and get the climate control going. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the cabin materials now. So over here on the door trim, we've got a leatherette material. It's going to move through the center section here with a stitching detail. Plastics are going to be soft touch along the top part. As we move to the upper dash, we have more of this leatherette material all the way to the top with more stitching details. We've got a faux wood trim that runs through the center here, but looks pretty good. More of the nice leather through there. And then down here on the bottom panel, this is actually not going to be padded, and you'll notice that we've got a piano black finish for the center section. Vehicle is already fired up. Let's hop into some of the individual features, beginning with our gauge cluster and just, overall screen arrangement. As you can see, this is a new dual screen setup that Audi has brought here to the Q6 model. And the gauge cluster side itself is 11.6 inches. As you can see, you have some reconfigurability in terms of your graphics choices and stuff, and it just kind of blends in nicely with that main display. The other thing I really want to point out is this head-up display. So this is standard on the Premium Plus and above. And you can see from the housing, it is a very large head-up display. And that's because this is an augmented reality HUD. So this can display a lot of different kinds of information, kind of display more 3D graphics and really cool things. Certainly very impressed by this. Even when you're parking, it has like a parking sensor visualization. Pretty cool. Now, as we come back to the steering wheel, as you can see, this is a new Audi steering wheel design. It's a 4-spoke arrangement. It has touch-sensitive buttons here to control the gauge cluster, and also over here you have your audio controls. We have the heated steering wheel on today's model. The steering wheel itself is power, tilt, and telescoping. Now, let's take a look at interior storage, because this is an area we are very impressed by. Certainly, we have said in the past, models like the Q5 just didn't have a lot of space to stick things, especially in the front of the cabin. Well, this Q6 does address that. Beginning with our center console here, we've got some donuts inside. Of course, we put donuts in the center console. That's our logo, and we want to check the volume using that. We have 13 donuts inside, because this actually is very deep and goes underneath of this area. So that's really big, especially for an Audi SUV. They usually only have maybe 3 at the most. Now up in front of that, you got a couple cup holders. You still have a really large storage bin right up here in the front as well. You'll notice right along this inner edge, this is actually your wireless phone charging pad. So you slide your phone in and it will kind of clip into place to hold it right there on the charger. Now, as we pull back to the shifter, as has been the trend recently, we've got a very low profile shifter. Just gonna pull back for drive, bump forward for reverse. When you head into reverse, you're gonna have a 360 camera on the Premium Plus and above. As you can see, you've got that nice overhead view as well as a kind of camera angle that turns with the steering wheel. We can also click into here and individually control some of the other views like so. Then just press that P right there to head into park. You also do have an automatic parking system. Now, all inside of this panel area, you'll notice the physical volume knob for the audio system. This vehicle will always come with a Bang & Olufsen sound system. However, if you get the Premium Plus, you're going to get 16 speakers. And we further have added an additional 4 speakers, which are located inside of the headrest, taking our total to 20. And let's go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is quite good. Definitely has good detail to the system and really good clarity as well. All right, so let's kind of move up through here. One thing I do want to point out, we have physical controls here for our vents, so nothing unconventional with that. That's not a given, of course. You know, some of the EV rivals have the weird digital vents. And then the climate controls themselves are going to be located down here on the lower part of our display. So, of course, to adjust your temperature up and down, you're just going to be able to use those toggles right through there. Additional climate functions are going to be inside of this menu for things like your zones and taking manual control of the fan. Over here, we have 3-stage heated seats. That's included on all models. Ventilated seats are optional. And then, let's talk about the display itself. So, this section of our dual screen arrangement is 14.9 inches. So obviously this is going to be a big improvement in terms of size compared to the existing Q5, for example, if you own one of those. And this also has a brand new infotainment software. So you'll notice that we've got things like wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, of course, but the overall arrangement of the system is different. This is what the built-in navigation looks like right through there. And I'll show you what the apps, there's all your different apps that you can do. Overall, I think this arrangement is easier and this is certainly more responsive than the previous version. Additionally, I want to point out that over here, you'll notice this big piece of piano black. This is actually a passenger screen if you choose the Prestige model, but on the lower examples, just kind of fill in the space that it would be. Up top here, we've got an auto dimming mirror with HomeLink remotes built into the bottom of it. And then if you choose anything but the base trim, we're going to get a panoramic sunroof. So I'll go ahead and kind of slide back the shade here so you can take a look at this. One of the things that I like about this compared to some of the other electric rivals is the fact that the front panel does open up.
All right, so let's dive into the rear seat area of the Q6 e-tron and see how good it is. First of all, we'll talk about space figures for this model. We're sitting at 37.4 inches of legroom, 38.4 inches of headroom. Those are both actually pretty good figures for the segment of vehicle. It's very similar to something like an Audi Q5 on the gas side, and of course, we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. Now, the reason we did that is because I'm 5'9". The seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we can see our realistic knee room figure. We're sitting at about 8 inches. That is quite good, thanks to those knee cutouts. We also do have room up underneath of the seat for my feet to slide, so that is quite nice. Now, speaking of the seats themselves, they do not recline, so do be aware of that. It's just going to be a fixed position for your seat. If I fold down the center armrest, I have 2 cup holders right here. And then in the center area, we have vents That's going to be standard equipment. We also have our own zone of climate, and we're also featuring heated back seats. That's going to be an available feature if you choose at least the Premium Plus trim level or above. And then down below that, we have 2 lighted USB-C ports. I know they're kind of hard to see, but we do have those to keep things charged up. Now, over on the door trim, we additionally have rear window sunshades. And then as far as the door itself, we have some soft touch plastic on the upper part, leatherette through the center section, and then a ton of door storage. You can see I have a water bottle in there, and it just absolutely swallows it up. So storage is something that certainly we're not used to seeing in Audi products, so I'm certainly happy to see that this Q6 e-tron improves on that. Now, walking up to the cargo area, of course, we do have a hands-free power tailgate. And as far as the cargo space is concerned for this model, we're sitting at 30 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If I fold them down, which I can easily do because I have handles right here to fold the seats 40-20, 40 split, that will give me my maximum of around 60 cubic feet of space. For those of you that own a gasoline Q5, that is going to be right around the same figure. It's a little bit more space, but not by a huge margin. And by the way, if you are cross-shopping with some gas alternatives, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings, because on there you can see all the different segments that you may be looking at and categorize them based on the features and categories that matter most to you, whether that be cargo space, technology, drive experience, powertrain choices. That's all detailed for you on our website. So we'd encourage you to use that to make an informed buying decision. Now, back to this. Said the 40-20-40 split seats, and then let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. This is a Car Confections review after all. We are sitting at about 73 inches of overall cargo length. Oop, got stuck in the net. From behind the second row of seats, about 38 inches of length. As far as the opening, 42 inches. And then overall height is going to be pretty good as well, 30 inches tall. Now the cargo load-in height, that's also going to be right at that 30-inch mark. And then if we lift up the cargo floor, you will find actually quite a bit of extra space down here. There's a big pit. There is not a spare tire, so that's something worth noting. And additionally, there is a frunk up in the front of the vehicle. It's not a massive frunk, unlike some of the rivals, which include a little bit more space, but it's good enough for things like a charging cable or maybe some fast food. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Audi Q6 e-tron. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot of things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first of all, we need to start with a hard acceleration. Whew!
And just like that, 60 miles per hour. So like we mentioned at the beginning, there's several different versions you can get in terms of power output. We have 459 horsepower as the maximum on this dual motor all-wheel drive version, and as you can tell, certainly gets this vehicle up to speed quite quickly. We're looking at an under 5-second 0 to 60, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, of course, as with any EV, you have just a ton of torque. It slams you back in your seat as you accelerate. And to clarify a couple of those power figures, let me go ahead and hit those real fast. Since we have the dual motor all-wheel drive, it's actually 456 horsepower, not 459. And that's in the launch mode. Now, what you just saw there was a regular acceleration, which actually Audi is rating at 422 horsepower. So if you do the launch mode, you get some extra power on board, but the 422 certainly is enough for the average person, that's for sure. 0 to 60, 4.9 seconds, so that's really good as well. And we'll do another acceleration here, but overall it feels very, very quick. Definitely faster than something like a gasoline Q5.
I was punching in our dynamic mode. Obviously that serves as a sport mode for this model. Dials up the power to a little bit of a higher degree overall. Changes the steering feel although it is very lightweight in all the drive modes we've sampled out so far. This is pretty typical for Audi. They really don't like to do heavy steering in any of their models.
Yeah. Now, as far as maybe some other basic specifications, the battery pack size is 100 kilowatt hours. Of that, about 94.6 kilowatt hours of that is usable capacity. And then let's go ahead and hit some of the other versions of this model as well. So that we have a rear drive model available that's going to have that same battery pack. A 0 to 60 on that is 6.3 seconds, and it makes 320-ish horsepower in the sport mode. So as you can see, about 100 more horsepower for choosing the all-wheel drive version. They additionally are offering the SQ6, which is the high output version of this. That's going to have up to 509 horsepower in the launch mode, and 0 to 60 on that is 4.1 seconds. So really all the versions are pretty quick. This is probably a good middle ground for most people, and it's only about $2,000 extra to get the all-wheel drive Quattro model as compared to the rear drive version. Now, Drew touched on this just a second ago when it comes to overall dynamics, that it's not a very sport-focused model, but how's the ride quality? Well, in the amount of time that we've been able to spend with this Q6 e-tron, I've been decently impressed. I am a little surprised that it's honestly feels like it's on the firmer side for the ride quality. When you hit a big bump in the road, some of that is definitely going to penetrate into the cabin. I don't know if it's because we have the larger wheels on the outside, or if it's just that it's an electric vehicle, so it's very heavy, so sometimes that can negatively impact your ride, but it's a little bit less comfortable than I'd say some of the other Audi products, and you feel a little bit more of that intrusion inside. Now, it is worth noting, if you choose the Prestige, you will get an adaptive suspension. We do not have that on this model because we're just in the Premium Plus.
Yeah, that probably would be pretty helpful in terms of being able to customize your overall ride quality. Now, on the bright side, though, one of the things that you do have is a little bit more of an agile feel than a lot of the more traditional gas-powered Audis. So, you know, if you're a current owner of a Q5, which I think a lot of people that choose this are going to be current owners of Q5 models, this definitely, you know, wears its weight down low with the battery pack, which gives it an agile feel as you go around corners.
All right, and we are going to get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. 53.5 decibels is what we settled in at as our official sound level reading in this all-new Q6 e-tron. That is a very good sound level reading. I don't have to sit here and guess, though. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings. And on our website, we've gone through all of these electric cars that we review, as well as other competitive vehicles like the Q5. And indeed, that does mean that that is a very quiet sound level reading. It's not quite the quietest EV that we've tested out, but it is definitely in the upper tier of quieter options, that's for sure. And I want to point out that Audi is saying they'll give you acoustic glass if you choose the Prestige model. So as I mentioned earlier, we don't have that, so I'd imagine the Prestige might be even quieter, which is certainly a good thing. All right, let's hit our airball and slam dunk, which is our least favorite and favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk of this Q6 e-tron?
We're going to slam dunk the new elements, specifically with the interior. Like we said, this is kind of the bleeding edge of the new Audi design language and technology, and I think the technology works a lot better than the previous versions. The screen is a lot bigger. Also, the storage solutions in here are much, much improved from what we've seen from previous Audis like the Q5.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I will just point out as well, we like the fact that this Q6 e-tron, even though it's electric, does not overcomplicate things, and there's still physical switches in here, so it does feel like a traditional Audi interior. Now, on the flip side, what's our airball? That is going to be some of the interior material selections. It's not the most premium Audi cabin out there, that's for sure. And also, the use of piano black, I think, is going to be, not or it's not going to age well as time goes on. You have this big piano black chunk here if you don't choose the passenger screen on the Prestige. Then this whole center section is piano black, which would likely get fingerprints, dust, or get scratched up. So I think a lot of customers might not appreciate that as they start to own the vehicle. And let's go ahead and talk about range and charging. That's important for any EV. As far as the range is concerned, the lowest range model will be the SQ6. That comes in at 275 miles of range. The rear drive version is the highest range model. That goes all the way up to 321 miles. We're sitting right here in the middle. We're with the, dual motor all-wheel drive model with the larger wheels. We're sitting at 295 miles, which is pretty competitive when it comes to the overall range figure. As far as the charging, we do have pretty fast charging speeds as well, up to 270 kilowatts of charging. If you choose the rear drive model, that goes down to 260. And then as far as what that's good for, 10 to 80% you can get in about 21 minutes, which is pretty fast. As far as level 2 charging, you can expect that to be completed in 14 hours. And one of the kind of unique things about this model is the fact that it actually has dual charge ports. So on both the sides of the rear, you have charge ports. So that allows you to, of course, have the ability to use either side if your garage charger is maybe on one side or the other. So that's definitely quite nice. So let's go ahead and discuss pricing. As I said at the very beginning of this video, we start around $63,000 on the base end. Quattro all-wheel drive is an additional $2,000 option. And then, of course, there's even the S models if you want to pay a little bit more and have a little bit more performance. This one with the Quattro all-wheel drive starts at $65,800. We have the Premium Plus package, which is $4,800. We also have quite a few options. $1,295 destination. All told, we're sitting at $75,840. Now, if you're looking to buy an Audi Q6 e-tron or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. And we even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to check that out. Once more, you can find that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Audi Q6 e-tron's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 40.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 14.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are lower than average resale value percentages. It's very much on par with other German luxury brands, though, so that's something to keep in mind, like BMW, Mercedes-Benz. And I do want to point out this is an electric product, so that does sometimes positively or negatively affect your resale value, so it might differ off from the brand whole.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. After our latest 2025 data update, Audi is rated well below the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability information, or our methodology, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, we do have a decent one on this one. We have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. The battery itself, though, is warranted for 8 years and 100,000 miles. Audi does not do complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, which we surely hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel and strive to provide the latest car reviews, so you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.